All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this special workshop, Riding the Waves of Change, Mindfulness for Uncertain Times. My name is John Roberts. I am the Operations Manager for Mindfulness-Based Learning here at Point 32 Health and our family of companies, which includes Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. Now, today I have the honor of introducing my colleague and friend, Tara Healey, who founded our Mind the Moment program way back when in 2005 at Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. Now, I will be mostly in the background today, offering any support to Tara that she might need. But we'd love this session to be as interactive as possible. So please do open the chat when you have a moment. That will be the primary way that you can communicate with us today. Now, if questions or comments come to you, please put them in the chat, and we will make sure to save time at the end to address them. So Tara, with that, I will invite you to take us away.
Thank you so much, John. I am really delighted to be here with everybody. Welcome to our post-session Riding the Waves of Change. So some of you may have been on when we did it about a week or so before the election. This is our post-election session, and really offering these as a way to check in with ourselves, to manage the uncertainty, the anxiety, that can come up election time. So I just want to really extend a warm welcome to everybody on this call. So whether you voted red or blue or independent or third party or didn't vote, wherever you fall, you are welcome here. And we are delighted that you have joined. So one of the things that since the election, but even prior to the election, that has been on my mind is uncertainty. I mean, that's kind of the word and the feeling that keeps bubbling up for me. And with that, a range of emotions around that. And, for each of us, it's different. I think fear is a common one that comes with uncertainty. And the thing about fear and some of the other challenging emotions is that it does a pretty good job of keeping us from being in the moment we're in, from being in the present, because we're often, what that is we're thinking about the past, regretting the past, anticipating the future, but really not where we are. And to me, these sessions, what I want to try to bring about is, can we meet whatever the moment is holding for us? Can we, this idea of turning toward rather than rejecting or resisting, which is common when something feels when something feels unpleasant. So whether the election went your way or not, all of us share a sense of just not knowing what's next, and this impacts each of us differently. And, generally it can be a bit destabilizing, but we're going to explore practices to help us to meet the experience, whatever it is that we are having. So before we start, and I'm going to share like 3 key practices that have been beneficial to me. But before we do that, I wanted to just check in with all of you. And the question that I have for you is, what are you doing currently to support yourself during this time? So what have you, post-election, what have you been doing that is bringing you a sense of peace or ease or joy, and just even a sense of stability? And so if you haven't opened up the chat, please do that. Go to the drop-down menu and make sure that you select everyone. And feel free to just put a few comments in the chat about what has been most helpful. So prayer and meditation, connecting with community, taking care of body, quiet my mind, eating, walking, discussing outcomes, spending time with pets, art, going for walks, meditation, prayer, enjoying holiday and local events, walking, keeping up with sleep. Yeah, I think, it's this idea of sharing and of being in community with others has really been a theme. And whether it's with other people or even just out sort of communing with our natural environment, one of the things that I've been doing in the morning and it's dark. So I've been getting up early and I've been going outside. And while I do have neighbors, I'm set back off the road, and in the back of my house, it's lots of woods and really quiet. And it's been nice to just go out there and do mindful practice in my backyard, even standing and just taking in the sounds and the scent of the morning has been really, really, really helpful for me. So I'm happy to see all of you and such a big group. It feels really important to be in community. So John's going to be running the PowerPoint for me, and we are going to save some time at the end so if there are questions, please put those in the chat, and then we'll have time at the end to look at questions. But John, you can go ahead and start with the first slide. So these are the three practices: RAIN, a body scan, and breath practices. And RAIN is a practice that I learned many years ago while on a meditation retreat, and it has been something that has been so, so useful. And really, with all of these practices that we're looking at, which I think are probably very likely familiar to many of you, the practice that we're going to spend the most time on is the body scan today. But I'm going to explain what RAIN is for those of you that have not come across this acronym, and then share a couple of breath practices as well. So next slide. So RAIN, and this acronym was coined by a meditation teacher named Michelle McDonald. And basically the R means recognize, the A is allow, the I is investigate, and the N is note. So what that means is this is a way of turning toward whatever we're feeling, coming out of the narrative in the head and coming into the body. So the recognition is when you notice that a thought has slipped in, because oftentimes, thoughts slipped in without us calling them forth. We're, rehashing something or worried about the future, but we're not aware of it yet in this particular way. It's slipped in unnoticed, and we're really sort of chomping away on it. And then there's a moment of recognition, so whether you're deep in thought and then you come out of it and recognize what's going on, or you have in a moment been provoked where you feel, sometimes people will say it's like a gut punch, or I just felt like I had some kind of mental or physical contraction. And that is the recognition that something has impacted you. And then it's almost the way that I think about it is to soften and allow, whether it feels pleasant or unpleasant. It's usually somewhere on that scale of pleasant or unpleasant. Sometimes it's sort of neutral, but more often than not, it has some degree of pleasantness or unpleasantness. And no matter what it is, you're allowing because it's actually there. The habit pattern, if it's unpleasant, is resistant. And so you want to also see if resistance comes into play, and then you actually allow that too. So it's sort of, in a way, you just keep backing up and allowing whatever is arising because it has shown up. You then investigate and really that's just as simple as, where am I feeling this physically? What is showing up for me physically? Is there a place in my body where I notice the sensation of fear or dread or excitement and joy? It's really the range of emotions. And you investigate by noticing, where exactly is it? So that could be whole body, it could be, abdomen, or someplace else. It's different for each of us. And a way to do that is just simply make some mental notes. It could be, heat, tingling, pulsing, vibration, tightness. So it's, in a way, you are like the scientist and the subject. And I often say, it's sort of like whatever has slipped in unnoticed, the culprit has now been seen by you. You're scientist and subject. You can recognize a provocation, allow it because it's there, feel it in the body through an investigation, which is essentially a body scan. And that's what we're going to do in a minute. And my teachers will often say, you can just make mental notes like, oh, heat or tingling or softness, whatever it is, you're turning toward, you're allowing, you're being present with, and coming out of the stories in your head, which, typically don't wind up getting us anywhere. So this is a really great acronym. And there are others that kind of point to the same thing. But this is the one that I've probably used most often. And so the next one is a body scan. And I'm actually going to just take us through a body scan so that we all do a practice together. So whether you are seated or standing, you can do a body scan in either of those two postures. You can also lie down. If you don't feel too tired, it's okay to do this practice lying down. So whatever posture you're in, take a minute to less than a minute to do 2 deep breaths. And as you inhale through your nose, make your exhalation deeper and longer through your mouth. So go ahead and take a moment to do a couple deep breaths in through the nose, longer exhalation through the mouth. And on that final exhalation, see if you can surrender your weight into the support of the ground below, feeling held by the earth. Nothing to hold on to here, but keeping a spine that's engaged. So the idea is you want to be careful not to fall asleep. So an engaged posture, one that's not too tight and not too loose. And let's just take a moment to bring awareness to your whole body. So notice points of contact with the back of the body and the surface. Notice physically how your body is from any activity you've been a part of so far this morning. So pulsing or tingling or vibration or temperature, just simply allowing. Perhaps noticing if what you're experiencing is pleasant or unpleasant. Maybe it's neither, but whole body awareness. And for a moment, I'll have us expand our sense of being aware to just include sound. So sound that might be in the room that you're in or even outside of the room. And allowing sounds to arise and pass in your background as they will. I'll ask you to bring awareness back in and bring your attention, your awareness to the very, very top of your head. And as we move through different regions of the body, we're just seeing what sensation is there, noticing perhaps in certain parts of the body that there's a lack of sensation. That's something to know as well. So just noticing in any areas that we arrive at that feel tight, you can soften to the degree that you are able. And in a way, this practice helps us be present with whatever has arisen. And to whatever degree we can, bring some ease. So top of the head, noticing what's there, bringing awareness to the sides and the back of the head. And coming around now to your face. So isolating this part of your body in your field of awareness. So noticing kind of the area around the eyes and the nose, the jaw, mouth and tongue. Softening. And really nothing else to do here, just simply being present in this very moment. And moving awareness traveling down now over the neck and shoulders. So let's isolate this part of your body. So the neck and shoulders, noticing it if there is any holding in the shoulders and dropping, releasing. And noticing the throat and the sides of the neck and the back. And just receiving, allowing, and moving awareness down over the upper arms, the elbows, the forearms, and include your hands. Holding this region of your body in your field of awareness, allowing and noticing sensation or lack of sensation. And releasing that, and let's bring awareness to the torso. So the front of the body and the back of the body and internally. And bringing a sense of care and kindness to this part of the body. And again, allowing whatever sensations are happening. It's all invited, included, receptive to your body. What sensations are you noticing here? Perhaps a lack of sensation or not? And moving awareness now to the hips and thighs, both the left and the right together. Isolating this part of the body and receiving with an attitude of allowance. If you're seated or lying down, perhaps there's noticing of points of contact. And if you're standing, there's a certain amount of muscle contraction required in this part of the body to keep you upright. So just whatever you're noticing, receiving. And moving awareness down now to the knees and the lower legs. Isolating this part of your body and receiving, noticing sensation or lack of sensation. And finally, moving down now to the feet. So the soles of the feet and the heels, the top of the feet and the toes, both the left and right together, aware of this region of the body. And allowing whatever sensations, knowing perhaps it's a point of contact or there's a subtle tingling or vibration or something else. Just whatever is there, allowing, receiving. And releasing that. And just for a moment, coming back to whole body awareness. So noticing how the whole body feels. If there are any areas that are saying, I'd like a little more attention, you can go ahead and narrow your attention to that area that's calling. and just receiving the sensations in that particular area. Or you could hold this wide open lens of awareness over the whole body. And just simply notice the rhythm of your breath. However you're breathing is perfect. So if it's shallow or deep or rapid or slow, just start to notice the rhythm of your breath. And as we bring this practice to a close, may we be peaceful and at ease, and may our hearts be soft and open. May we be safe and protected, and our bodies healthy and strong. And may whatever good comes of our practice be of benefit to everyone. So take a moment, if the eyes were closed, to open the eyes. And usually I do like a little bit of a stretch, look around the room, and just take a minute to just reorient to where you are. And so just a couple more things, and then we will open it up. So John, you can go ahead and resume. So basically, box breathing is anytime, anywhere, in any posture, and it's very helpful. Helps to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. And essentially what it is a slow inhale to a count of 4, you hold to a count of 4, you do a slow exhale to a count of 4, you hold to a count of 4. And I'd like to take you through that now, just one time, because you would want to, between each, pause, take a couple, let your body resume a couple normal breaths and do it again. So however you are, seated or standing or even lying down, go ahead and do an inhale, and I'll count for you. So inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Release. So that was almost to a count of 5 because I started with a word, but you get the picture. The other thing too is just breathing in through the nose and and then on the exhale, just making your exhale a little bit longer. I mean, that's something you can quickly and easily do as well, but both of these practices are really helpful in the moment, like anytime, anywhere. So next slide. So I want to just share a few resources, and then, in the next minute or so, and then we'll have 5 minutes for folks to share ideas or resources that you've used that you think have been helpful, ask a question, offer some tips and tools that have been useful to you. So where do we go from here? Next slide. So a lot of you talked about practicing in community, and it's quite possible that many here have joined our interactive Zoom discussion and practice community, which happens every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning from 8:30 to 9. So that happened this morning. It'll happen tomorrow morning, and we'll give you all the info on where to link in to find that. But this has been going on for about 4 years and has been a really significant community. So next slide. So Living Well at Home, also, this is another community where we offer all kinds of health and wellness programs, from yoga to mindfulness to weight training, and many opportunities for you to, other than mindfulness, to bring practices to bear that help during this time or a time of uncertainty. And next slide. So this is where it all lives. So you can go to point32health.org, Living Well at Home. That's the one link you need to find everything. You can feel free to reach out to us at MindtheMoment at point32health.org. Oh, there you are, John.
Hi, Tara. Thank you for that. Now, as Tara mentioned, we'd love to have any questions or comments that might have come up as Tara was speaking. But Tara, if I may, can I throw one out there that I've been thinking about?
Yes, yeah.
So, many of us may find ourselves at family gatherings in the coming weeks. And there
Yeah,
may be a variety of people at those gatherings, some of whom share our political leanings, some of whom
right,
don't.
right.
If our preferred candidate did not win the election, we might be worried that those family members and friends whose preferred candidate did win will be
Yeah,
acting smug. If our preferred candidate did win the election, we might be equally worried about having to deal with the anger and anxiety from family members and friends whose preferred candidate did not win.
yeah.
Is there a mindful way to deal with that sense of dread about these perhaps inevitable encounters? Is running away ever okay? And are there things we should be keeping in mind when anticipating interactions with folks that we might know have views that are different from our own?
Yeah, no. And John, I'm glad you asked that because that I think is a common feeling, as we're kind of getting ready for holidays. I mean, to me, I think some of the best things you can do in preparation are self-care. So how are you sleeping? How are you eating? Um, how are you exercise, or are you sleeping well, eating well, exercising? I think like doing, of course, all of those things and many of the things that those who are on here on the Zoom right now have expressed that they're doing to support themselves to do that in anticipation. And, the other thing I would say is to really hone your listening skills, especially, when we are hearing things that might be very different from how we feel. How do we help another person feel heard without it sounding like we're agreeing if we disagree, but to acknowledge. Um, and then the other thing too is I think about this a lot. Like, what do we have in common as human beings? I mean, I talked about this on the pre-election. Like, we all want to be safe. We want to be happy. We want to love and be loved. I mean, for the most part, like we want to be safe. Like this cuts across everything. This is our shared humanity that we have certain things in common. Now we clearly have different ways of getting certain things done. Um, and so there are differences. But I think, kind of inquiry and good listening skills can be super helpful too. And then knowing when to engage and when not to engage.
So, Tara, a
Yeah.
question about if there are any good mindfulness podcasts. Now, I know you have some
Yeah.
recommendations, but I should also mention that we, in fact, have a mindfulness podcast. It's still new, so it's still fresh on the vine, but I'm putting the link into the chat for folks who might want to check out the early episodes. But, Tara, mindfulness podcast that you are a fan of.
Yeah, so I think 10% Happier, Dan Harris has done a really nice job, especially around election stress and uncertainty. Is a lot of really, really good teachers. I cannot recommend that one enough. I think that that's really good. Headspace has always been a favorite of mine as well. But I think, in terms of practices and like the practices that Dan talks about are in alignment with what we're talking about. So yeah.
I will also say, Tara, that for folks who like the science of mindfulness, who sort of geek out about that sort of thing, the Mind and Life podcast
Yes.
is also
Yes.
very good for that. Again, they sometimes get into the deep neuroscience stuff, but if that is as interesting to you as it is to us, then that's a good
Yeah.
one.
I cannot emphasize that one enough either, John. Thank you so much. The Mind and Life podcast, absolutely excellent. So that and Dan Harris's I mean, there are more, but these are the ones.
Yes, is Mind the Moment also on Spotify? Stay tuned, coming soon. Thank you for asking. Uh, Tara, that brings us up to time. Are there any
Oh,
closing thoughts you'd like to offer before we sign off?
yeah, I mean, I just want to wish everybody well as we navigate these changes ahead. And, again, as I said in the beginning, however you voted or wherever you fall on the political spectrum, there's a fair amount of uncertainty ahead. None of us know how all of this is going to play out. And so I would say, like, just to watch where the mind tends to go when we're fearful. Like, are we, really projecting out into the future? and just see if you can reel yourself back in, and then physically just feel your body. Watch the narrative, drop the narrative, come into the body. And you might just have to do that multiple times, but that is a very, very helpful practice. And then start to see how that works for you.
Thank you, Tara. And thank you, everyone, for joining. It's great to
Yeah.
see everyone. Always good to be in community.
Yeah, thanks so much.
But we will hopefully see you very soon.